You're tuned in to the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla, Kallander, and Andrew Yaggie. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go.
Welcome to episode 115 of the It's Real podcast. I'm Kayla Kallander, and I'm a mortgage lender.
I'm Andrew Yaggie, and I work in real estate.
Yes, you do, Andrew Yaggie. How are you
doing?
How are you,
Kayla? I'm doing really good. How are you?
Fabulous. I'm having like deja vu, I
think you were just talking about us having some deja vu, and so we've been plagued by technical issues today. This is like take 3 and one pause later, but I think you might need to find someone new to run IT where you're at, Kayla, because I think you got some VPN problems.
I must be. I don't know what's in the air today, but hey, we're at episode 115. I'm excited that we get to connect today and share, but what's going on in your world? Tell me, what's new? What did you guys do this weekend? Update me. I want to hear.
Yeah, what is going on? Well, things are actually kind of moving along pretty quickly this week. Been putting a number of properties under contract, working on some new listings, talking to a lot of people about their goals before the end of the year, which is a lot of fun. We had a really great weekend, Kayla, out at the lake, out on Ottertail. The weather was gorgeous. I saw that you guys were out on the lake too, and looked like you were probably having a lot of fun. We Sunday night took our older two girls down to the Twin Cities. We went to the Orpheum Theater and went and saw Wicked. Have you ever seen Wicked?
Never have I ever. How is it?
Really, really good. You've never even seen the movie that came out with Ariana Grande? And really, it's really good. It's kind of like tells the story before The Wizard of Oz. And so I think it came out almost 30 years ago on Broadway. And so it's traveling Broadway to Minneapolis. But we had a great time running down there, and all in all, a great weekend. But yeah, got back Monday morning, and it's been just kind of a busy week so far. How about you?
Yeah, it makes a difference when it's nice out. We were just at the lake. We had a nice weekend. It was really quiet. None of our neighbors were there. Like there's like 6 of us down this like little gravel road. Nobody was there. It seems like no one's on the lake. I don't know, it's kids sports, things like that. But it was just nice to just have a little peace and quiet. So it was a very low key weekend.
Ottertail was fairly busy. We ventured over to Zorba's on Saturday and actually saw, it was packed, and as Zorba's usually is, and saw a lot of people, so it was kind of fun. I see that you were at a concert in Fargo recently.
Yes, I was. Brett Young. It was a blast.
How was that?
By the way, so good. I was shocked, Andy, at how many people weren't there. He is so good. I mean, you have appreciation for musical talent, like such a great voice. He has a little bit sappier music, so maybe that's why, but he crushed it. He did a great job. And I joined a realtor because they have a real estate office that overlooks the stage. So that was a little plus. So it was really good.
How is the lights? Like I've been over there, like I've been to the title company over there. But other than, it looks kind of cool, but how is it for concerts?
Yeah. It's great. I mean, I think you can be in like the pavilion area. There's apartments that, surround it. So there's people in apartments, there's office spaces, but yeah, it seems very spacious. I think it's great. So good place to hold a concert. So yeah, excellent. Cool. Loved it. I don't do that often, but went with some girlfriends and it was a lot of fun. So yeah.
Awesome. Good for you. Hey, I saw something else kind of cool. You've, we know you're a trailblazer, but you've really been blazing a trail in North Dakota. It looks like you're like number 1 in North Dakota.
Apparently.
Is that a real legit figure, or is that like, hey, your mom paid you to be on that list, or paid for you to be on the list?
Good old Barbara paid. No, so that is over the last year. So that's a rolling 12-month average. That's pretty darn close. Actually, the rolling average is probably closer to 50. But to see those stats, I knew I was doing well in Fargo and Cass County. I didn't know that I was ranked that high in the state. So it's very humbling. It's to me, I see impact. I see families. I see people that trusted me. But that was a long time vision board plan. I didn't expect that to happen. So yeah, really just cool opportunity to see that. So the company that posted that, by the way, they're a mortgage software company, so they can pull all the data. So that's who actually posted all of that.
Very cool. Well, congratulations. I'm proud of you. And
Thanks.
thanks for making the time to hang out with peasant agents like me when you could be out selling another or doing another couple million in mortgage.
What's it like to have a podcast with the #1 lender in North Dakota, Andy?
I know someone's going to ask me that. I know they're going to ask me that, and I
Oh
would say
gosh.
it feels pretty good. Hey, you mentioned something that kind of
Mhm.
resonated. You mentioned vision board. Do you actually keep an updated vision board?
I haven't lately, no, but I should. I really should. How about you?
Because you've exceeded your vision for yourself, so
Yes,
there's
I'm just like,
nothing left
there's
to vision.
no other reason needed. No, I just don't. I mean, I have like a list of things in my phone, but not an actual vision board. Do you?
Sure. Yeah, I do. I'm actually looking at it. I'm kind of in my home office today, and
Oh,
so I, I can't show it on air, but I'll send you a picture of what my wall looks like behind my computer. It's kind of a mess of different things. Which we're talking about building a house, and my wife said you definitely will not have your quote unquote vision board, like that, when we move. But
oh,
I do
okay.
have one, although I did not update it this year. But a lot of the things they're pretty similar.
I love that. It's nice to have goals because if you don't, then what are you aiming for? So yeah, I
Right.
should get a little bit better, but yeah, it's fun to have them. So yeah, but thank you for the shout out, Andy.
Yeah. Kayla, talk for a minute about mortgage rates. I was reading on Mortgage News
Yeah,
Daily that, hey, rates are the lowest in over 2 weeks. And again, people love to talk rates. That's a small part of the equation. But I feel like,
I
hey,
know.
it's a little bit exciting when you see a headline like that.
Yeah, and isn't it funny? Like last week we were like the highest rates that we've seen in months. You know what I mean? And I think it's just important to know that even though you see these headlines that say mortgage rates were the lowest that they've been in 2 weeks, you have to remember that it could be by 0.5%. So, the national average is right around 6.75. Last week we were at
6, 7.
6.82. Yeah. So it's not a huge shift. I mean, that could be $18 difference in your payment depending on your loan amount. But I think what's important to know is that, what's going on in the world has more influence on mortgage rates than I think any of us really thought at this point. Here we are, what, 6 months into, all of this the Iran situation. And I think that we're realizing, wow, like these could hang around for a while. But I was listening to Logan Matashami. He's with Housing Wire and he does a podcast. And he was talking about how he thinks that we'll see, rates kind of come down a bit, and yet I see forecasts that say they could go up. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's a small part of the equation. At the end of the day, are you achieving your goals? Are you creating wealth or hitting your, finance plans? Are you getting what you want out of the place that you call home? And mortgage rates, yes, are important. But when we see this all day, every day, it's hard to really just wrap emotions around that. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Right on.
So, but
No,
yeah, lowest in 2 weeks.
awesome. Time to lock.
Time to lock. Yeah, there's a couple people we're gonna lock this week.
Hey, obviously there's always a lot to talk about when it comes to real estate and everything, but I really was kind of enjoying this report that you sent over, and I think we should probably
Mm,
put our focus there today because there is
let's
so
do it.
much good information in here.
Yeah.
The True Work 2026 recent homebuyer report, and this is something that we've shared before, Kayla. Correct? I mean, this is something that they revise
Ye-
periodically.
Yes, they revise this. So they'll have recent reports that come out periodically. And what I love about it is I love that they have such valid and forceful stats because, we don't get these stats typically from anywhere else. We're seeing the the price of homes is up from here, or we're seeing there's a fly in my office, I'm gonna freaking lose it. Or we see things like rates are up, but a lot of times we don't see a lot of the behind the curtain. And some of the facts that TrueWork shares are quite shocking to me. And so I would love to kind of just highlight what this report showed that came
I,
out this
I
last week.
I was shocked by it.
I know.
And to be honest, I mean, so we talk, you and I talk about affordability a lot. We talk about how, on average, 6 in 10 households are living paycheck to paycheck, maybe 7 in 10, these days, as affordability still continues to be an issue. But the most shocking piece in here, Kayla, was this top stat, the fact that
Hmm.
88% of recent buyers with a mortgage say one common financial setback could jeopardize their ability to make their monthly payment.
Hmm. How scary is that?
Wow.
I mean,
Why? Why is that?
I think people, I'm going to say it, I hear it all the time. I think people believe that the payment's going to be lower than what they're actually seeing. I saw it multiple times last week. I had a girl last week, Andy, that I said, if you want to afford this, you need to put 60% down. She was wanting to put 5%. I said, for what you want, this is what you need. And I think people are then seeing the house and then they're saying, oh my gosh, that's the payment. And they're like, but I want the house. I'll figure the payment out later. I'll get a job promotion at work. I know that I'm going to get a big bonus. Daycare is going to go away. But what happens? You've got a baseball that hits your windshield. That just happened to my lash girl. You've got an unexpected pregnancy. You've got life, right? Life happens. And I
Yep.
think that that's what we're seeing. I mean, I could be wrong, but what are your thoughts on that, Andy?
I mean, I think probably. Well, do you have any idea when they say recent buyers, like how recent? Like, are they
Um,
thinking within the past 6 months, within the last several years?
my
Oh, I guess
guess,
it says
a,
right here. So they surveyed 1,000
a
Americans who
thousand is
purchased
something. Yeah.
within the last 24 months. So is that
Yes.
what they mean by recent?
Yes. So the last 2 years. And I think that's pretty relevant when you think about people were getting into rates and even they're like, oh, the rates are going to drop. I'll just refinance, marry the house, date the rate. I think that also was a factor as well.
I think it's those crooked lenders that were using that date the rate moniker.
Yeah, I would say there are some that still use it. I've seen it online, but I used it in 2022 for a hot minute. I'll admit it. But I think we all believe that rates would decline. But that's where it's so important for us as lenders and as real estate agents that we have real conversations with our clients. And I think that leads into us talking about, what questions are we asking clients and how are we prepping our people for after? Because when we look at these stats, 67% say job loss or a reduction in income would put their payment at risk. 50% say their mortgage becomes unsustainable without a lower rate. 32% have already cut back on basic living expenses. And that's in a 2 year history, or 2 year span. So kind of shocking, right?
Kayla, I think it tells me that there's a lot of mortgage malpractice going on out there. I think a lot of individuals,
Mhm.
and probably telling even prior to 24 months ago when the market was just hot. Granted, rates
Yeah.
for a good spell were lower, but I think a lot of people were really stretching themselves. And I mean, especially if
Yes.
someone had something adjustable rate, getting themselves into trouble. So yeah, I mean, when margin isn't managed, um, people can run into problems like this. So again, when people say that, hey, if I have a setback, it could really jeopardize things. I mean, we're actually,
Mhm.
as I think about it, having a lot of conversations with a lot of different people, and a lot of individuals don't always want to be forthright or don't want to be, upfront, when they are struggling. I mean, it's a major pride and it's a major ego thing, but
It is. It's
these,
keeping up with the Joneses a little bit too. I think we see on social media, we see our friends, we see our colleagues, and I think that plays a big part too. But again, that goes back into us. I like that you say mortgage malpractice because I think clients are so trained on go talk to a lender, make sure you can afford this today. But what about affordability after? What about your life after you buy? Like that's the things that I want to know about. Like, and that we should have conversations with clients about. Like that's where we need to ask better questions.
Mhm, mhm,
Mhm.
absolutely. I thought it was interesting as this report went on, Kayla, where it talked about how, hey, 46% of individuals may need to cut spending significantly if they're not
Mhm.
able to refinance within 3 years. And again,
Mm-hmm.
you already hit on, kind of the other sets, but it kind of talks about, hey, conditional affordability. The payment works today, but only through continued sacrifice.
Yeah.
Um, that's a tough spot for people to be living in.
I think that a lot of people just think they're going to make it work. And I think that's great optimism. But the truth is, life happens. And I think that conditional affordability means having conversations with clients and saying, what are you willing to give up if this doesn't happen? And I think that it's people just see a house, they get in the moment, they're excited. And I'll say it again, I still think we need to slow down sometimes. I know real estate doesn't wait. I get that. But when you think about bankruptcy or foreclosure or sacrifice or giving up the things that you love most in life, is it worth it? And I think it's a conversation that has to be part of the planning process.
The report actually draws a, a nice parallel to another article that I read
Hmm.
not long ago here on realtor.com, but it talks about how homeowners really having to sacrifice and reshape their budgets, really cutting down on dining out, on traveling,
Hmm.
on hobbies, which I mean I take some of that to maybe even be going to concerts and things like that, basic living expenses, and retirement as well. Though in the retirement piece is tough.
Hmm.
I actually had this pulled up today, but it talks about forget avocado toast. Gen Z is taking on a new kind of debt, and it could lock them out of home ownership. And I don't know how much you see this, Kayla, but it basically talks about individuals, especially. I mean, hey, they're going out, they're living life, they're putting concert tickets on their credit card. Maybe they're putting a big Airbnb for all of their friends are getting reimbursed later. And this is being called what's known as shadow debt. And
Shadow
they're putting,
debt.
have you heard of shadow debt?
Never have I ever.
Ooh,
Mm.
well, I'm sure you've probably seen it with all of the financials you look at, but
Yes.
basically what shadow debt is when an individual basically goes into debt to cover group expenses.
Mm.
Um, and 76% of these individuals who fronted money were never fully repaid. And Kayla, this article talks about the fact
Mm.
that student loans aren't the big problem, it's the shadow debt. And even if it's short-term debt that, let's say in a perfect world, friends are repaying you for those concert tickets, that expensive Airbnb in the mountains. When I come down and sit with you as when I sit down with you as my lender and you pull my credit, all of a sudden,
Mm.
like I don't get credit for the extra $1,000 that's on my credit card. That you don't just overlook that because my friends are reimbursing me. That
Yeah.
goes against my income and counts as
Hmm.
debt. And it here
Hmm.
talks about the fact that, hey, mortgage lenders only see the balance.
Hmm. Yeah, I think we look at the monthly payment that last reported, and we look at the balance, and ultimately, like we see it a lot with like marriages, like bachelorette parties, things like that. One person will cover it all, and then you're like, "What is this?" And a couple weeks ago, I had someone say, "Oh, that's a car loan I co-signed for an ex-boyfriend." It's like, yeah, the decisions that you make for other people, like pressure, isn't always a privilege. Like you have to choose wisely. So yeah, it's a good point.
Hmm. Yeah. What? So I getting back to this report,
Hmm.
where it talks about even recent buyers are probably even more vulnerable. Um,
Hmm.
to ordinary financial shocks just because again rates have been higher, affordability is at its tipping point. Talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit, Kayla, especially in the context um, of
Hmm.
this report. And again, getting back to that kind of headline, 88% of recent mortgage holders saying at least one shock could jeopardize their ability to make payments.
I think that that is scary, first and foremost. I think that we as mortgage lenders, we can see on paper if someone's comfortable. Like, but oftentimes we're not seeing what they're spending on their Verizon wireless bill or their Hulu or their Peloton. Like, yes, we can see certain things come through their account, but we don't track everything. We don't know if they've got, something, a big expense coming up. And so I think that a lot of times clients just are not getting real about what they want to afford. They're just like, hey, the lender said I can, so I'm just going to make it work. Those are two separate things. But what really gets me is the fact that this is delaying major life decisions. In this report below that, it said 17% have considered delaying a job change. 14% have considered delaying retirement. I had a client that delayed retirement a year so that she could co-sign for her daughter. I've seen that happen. Have delayed starting a business because we know what happens when you start a business, that you typically have a 2-year history, and 13% have considered delaying having children. So, I mean, that to me, like that kind of shocked me. I had no idea that those stats were that accurate. I mean, that's
What?
a decent amount.
Yeah, I look at the family piece especially, and that's like, wow, that's
I
a
know.
real ouch. I
Mhm.
look at, having a family and, just the importance of it,
Mhm.
and how wonderful it is. And so I can't imagine, um, making the decision, to maybe overspend on housing.
Yeah.
Granted, everyone has such a unique situation and it's, rarely simple and often complicated, but I would definitely choose children over having, the home of my dreams when I look at
Well,
it.
but you'd be surprised when people are like, I'll do both. I'll figure it out. And then what happens is then that's when they feel the pressure. They're taking on second jobs. They're borrowing from family. We're seeing more gifts now than ever, Andy, because we've got these boomers that are sitting on equity. So a lot of them are kind of like, hey, I think my mom and dad can help. I can't tell you how many times I have a client that I said, hey, you can't do this today, but if you do X, Y, Z, and they say, what if I add my dad? So a lot of times they're relying on that, and then dad wants to get off the loan, and they can't be, so it's just a point where people really need to be a little bit more realistic. I think, it's great to have friends and family that have the things, but you don't have to feel the pressure to keep up with them. Easier said than done. I know that. But I think if anything, what we can pull from this report is that I think people are just making really brash decisions, you know?
Mhm. Right
Thoughts?
on.
Feeling the same?
Yeah, I think you know what I think people are not having enough difficult
Yeah.
conversations, so to speak. And I mean, and again, I think people are just like you said earlier, trying to keep up with the Joneses a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. I mean, I think we're going to face some tough times here in the country, and I think a lot
I
of
know.
buyers, are going to be forced into some tough situations too. So, really great report though, Kayla, and we'll post the link here as well for those who might want to dig
Mhm.
in and dive
Yeah,
in a
it's
little bit
a
deeper
great
because
report.
I think I know I'm going to definitely send it out in my weekly email as
Yeah.
well. Um, I know you're a little pressed for time this week, so any final thoughts on this or anything else before we wrap up today?
My final thoughts are that I just think it's really great for anybody that's in real estate to read this. This allows us to put ourselves in positions to help our clients better. I would rather have an honest conversation with the client, set them up for success, not just to buy the house, but afterwards. That's when people have peace of mind. I would hate to get someone into a home and be the lender and then they're freaking out after. So I think that next time we should have on our podcast what you and I do differently that sets up our clients for success, not just to buy the home, but afterwards. Because this report, I mean, you can't make that up, and it's shocking. So
It is. It is. I like
yeah,
that. And again, I think all about good conversation. I think back to, a recent mutual client that you and I served and, even just
yeah,
talking different scenarios and really taking the time on the front end to talk about option A versus option B.
hmm,
And again, great when you do have individuals that you're working with that do have that optionality, to make an educated decision and really know
yeah,
what the whole picture is going to look like. I don't think a lot of people get into home ownership with that, and certainly don't have sound advice. Which I mean,
yeah.
this report was kind of
I
it
know.
shocked me, Kayla.
I know. And I think it's just one of those things that's a reminder to us. How can we be better? How can we make a bigger impact aside from being really quick to give a pre-approval letter or being really quick to get an offer written? So I think it's a learning opportunity for all of us. So
Right on. Well, that puts a wrap on 115, Kayla. Have a great rest of the week.
I will if you will.
See ya.
Bye.